in a gorilla, but she still introduced herself as Saria while trying to act all cute and shy. He used a skill called Adamant Claw, which he got from the Acrowolf to attack her, but she easily jumped out of harm's way and used a skill called Air Thrust to launch herself at like a nuclear missile. Seiichi dodged her attack and hoped that the gorilla had taken itself out with her own crazy move, but she stood up and expressed how happy she was that he was able to dodge her attack. Seiichi then used the water spirit's dagger to amplify his water magic and activated a skill called Fall Disaster, which was meant to cause a flood that would drown Saria out. However, Seiichi was dumber than a doorknob, so instead of directing the water at Saria, he was hit by his own attack.
Oh my god, bro.
Saria started pummeling him again using her special move called Flash Fist, and out of desperation, he unleashed his body odor, which had now become a skill called Stench Performer. Instead of destroying her like it did to the clever monkey, the skill caused Saria to declare her love for him, and she followed up by asking him to marry her. When they arrived at Saria's house, Seiichi demanded she let him go, but Saria told him that he had to stay with her because he was now her husband. Seiichi argued that they couldn't get married because he was a human and she was a gorilla, but instead of responding, she told him to eat the meal she prepared for him. When he took a bite, he was surprised by how delicious it was, and Saria also presented him with some new clothes which she made for him, causing him to lose his mind as he couldn't believe how much of a perfect wife she was. He asked her how she was able to talk, and she told him she learnt from some books she found in a cave. When she showed him the books, he started reading them, and he surprisingly acquired some skills. Afterwards, Seiichi plotted his escape while Saria was fishing, but before he could make it far, he came face to face with a giant spider, which made him scream like a dumb coward. Saria immediately came to his rescue and sent it flying with a punch before asking a shaken Seiichi if he was okay. He was surprised by how worried she was about him, and this made him realize he'd been a shallow doofus for judging her based on looks. While they ate, Saria told Seiichi that she and the clever monkeys would go out to gather the fruit of evolution, and he denied knowing what they were despite the fact that he'd been gathering them like infinity stones. She informed him that eating 10 of the fruits would make someone overpowered, but eating 11 would unalive them. She also mentioned that she herself had already eaten 10, but someone had stolen the ones she had gathered to give to her future husband. Seiichi got scared when she said she'd destroy the thief that stole them, so he immediately begged for his life while admitting that he was the one that stole them. Saria forgave him, but said he had to marry her now that he'd eaten them. The look on his face made Saria ask if he hated her, and when he said no, she immediately pulled up in a wedding dress and begged him to get married. When Saria went hunting, Seiichi seized the opportunity to escape her home. Meanwhile, Seiichi's classmates were training somewhere else in town, and a senior named Kanazuki and her friends recalled that they had been tasked with defeating the demon lord by the king on the day they had arrived. Back in the forest, Seiichi was running away from Saria, who discovered he was missing, and he came across a cave with a terrifying aura, but ran inside when he heard Saria's voice close by. Inside the cave, he entered a room where he saw a skeleton with glowing red eyes seated on a throne. The skeleton was impressed that he had been able to reach his room and believed he had to be strong to have managed that. Seiichi, on the other hand, saw him as a serious threat, but when he checked the creature's stats, it revealed that he was the Dark Lord named Xenos who was still at level 1. Because of this, Seiichi was relieved because he felt could easily clap him, but Xenos told him to look again, and when he did, he found out that the Dark Lord was actually at level 1,500. He called Seiichi a pathetic cannon fodder and tried to stab before Saria got in the way and was stabbed instead. Out of concern, Seiichi called out her name, which made her happy that he had called her name for the first time since they met. He tried to heal her using recovery potions, but she said it was no use because she was already dead. She explained that she was still able to speak to him because of her skill called Kaiser Majesty, which kept her going for a while, and Seiichi cried seriously while apologizing for how badly he treated her. Xenos interrupted their emotional farewell by telling them to quit the Bollywood theatrics, causing Seiichi to ragefully tell him to shut his web-infested mouth. He charged at Xenos, but Xenos easily blocked his attacks, and while they fought, Seiji told him how wonderful Saria had been.